Andrew Rebela, a 26-year-old young man, seemed to have everything one could dream of: a large house, a luxury car, world travels, and a romantic relationship with a beautiful model named Gracie. From the outside, their life appeared flawless, but few guessed the terrible secret hidden behind the charming smile of this attractive young man. The Rebela family lived in one of Australia's largest cities, Perth. However, on May 25, 2020, they faced a horrific shock. Colin Rebela, Andrew's mother, passed away. Colin had 4 adult children, a daughter, Monica, and 3 sons, Julian, Andrew, and Fabian. The older sons, Julian and Andrew, no longer lived with their mother, while daughter Monica and youngest son Fabian still remained with her. On that fateful day, May 25, 2020, Monica and Fabian were at work. Fabian worked at a supermarket and, after his shift ended at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, expected his mother to pick him up and drive him home. However, at the designated time, Colin did not show up at the supermarket. Fabian sensed that something was wrong. He tried calling his mother's cell phone several times, but to no avail, no one answered. The young man set off for home on foot. Upon entering the house, Fabian immediately heard the sound of the shower running in the bathroom. The bathroom door was closed. He knocked, called out to his mother, and asked if everything was all right, but there was no response. After a few minutes, Fabian opened the bathroom door and saw a horrifying scene: his mother was lying on the floor unconscious. Fabian immediately called for an ambulance. While waiting for the medics, he tried to resuscitate his mother, performing artificial respiration and chest compressions as best he could. But all attempts proved futile. The woman was no longer breathing. The ambulance arrived, but unfortunately, the doctors could do nothing. Colin was dead. 58-year-old Colin Rebela was a loving and caring mother. The Rebela family once had their own business in the mining industry, but after Colin divorced her husband, she found herself out of work. The woman single-handedly raised her children and started working in a cafe. When the children grew up, Colin, at the age of 51, earned a bachelor's degree and then continued her studies at university, specializing in healthcare management, policy, and leadership. Just 2 weeks before her death, she started a new job at the health department. Colin was happy and proud of herself. Her career was finally on the rise. Colin took great care of her health, although she suffered from Hashimoto's disease, autoimmune thyroiditis, a chronic inflammation of the thyroid gland. It was also known that she had heart problems. In her free time, Colin engaged in fitness and devoted a lot of attention to her children. Her youngest son, Fabian, had turned 19 and, as mentioned earlier, worked at a supermarket. Little was known about her eldest son, Julian. He had long since moved away from his mother and lived in another city. Her only daughter, Monica, strongly resembled her older brother Julian in appearance. In 2020, the girl was studying to become a paramedic. On the morning of May 25, Monica spoke with her mother, who looked healthy and did not complain about her well-being. The middle son, Andrew, lived with his girlfriend Gracie just a few kilometers from his mother's house. Andrew and Gracie were a popular couple on the internet, having met in 2015 through mutual friends. 5 years later, they had a son, Romeo, although the couple was not officially married. Gracie worked as a model and blogger, maintaining social media pages, publishing photos, videos, and sponsored posts, earning money from it. Andrew positioned himself as a cryptocurrency guru, claiming to know how to predict market fluctuations and earn six-figure sums. But in reality, his financial affairs were far from ideal. Instead of profits, he constantly incurred losses. Obviously, Gracie was the main breadwinner in the family. Andrew sometimes helped his girlfriend manage social media. Judging by how the couple shared their life online, it was not hard to guess their lifestyle. In a home video from April 2020, one can see a huge fireplace, a spacious sofa, and luxurious furniture. Gracie posted food videos and travel vlogs on her page, being the main star of her blog. Her son Romeo took second place, while Andrew only rarely appeared on camera. It was quite understandable that Colin was concerned about Andrew's business and did not take his work on the internet seriously. She said that it was all temporary, that popularity would pass, and then what? The woman warned her son not to spend all his money on luxury, cars, and travel. From the outside, it might seem that Andrew and Gracie had everything: spacious housing, a white Range Rover Evoque, plenty of expensive things, and overseas trips. Life seemed perfect, but the reality was quite different. For example, they took out a loan for the car and barely made ends meet, paying the monthly installments. The house did not belong to them, they had no real estate or assets, and their financial situation was extremely unstable. Compared to Andrew, Gracie had a more reliable income and could earn more if needed, while Andrew was in the red, and his cryptocurrency business did not bring any profit. By May 2020, the couple's debts had reached over 120,000 Australian dollars, which is approximately 75,000 US dollars. And in that same month, the unexpected happened: Andrew's mother suddenly died. The morning of May 25 was filled with joyful anticipation. Andrew and Gracie intended to meet with the model's cousin, who had come to visit them from another city. The plan was for the three of them to go out for lunch together, and Gracie was eagerly looking forward to this meeting. However, events unfolded quite differently. Around 10 a.m., Andrew suddenly disappeared from the house without saying a word to anyone. At first, Gracie was confused, but then thought that perhaps he had gone out on a short errand and would return soon. But minutes turned into hours, and the girl's anxiety grew. She sent Andrew several messages but received no response. Between approximately 11:10 and 11:25, Gracie called her husband 12 times, but he never picked up the phone. Enraged, Gracie began bombarding him with angry messages: "Answer the phone, where have you gone? Are you without your phone, what's going on with you? Answer, damn it, I'm going crazy with anger, I'm so mad at you." Several hours passed. Gracie was boiling with rage, not understanding why Andrew had left her alone with his cousin. Suddenly, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, he returned home as if nothing had happened and asked the girls where they would like to go for lunch. Before heading to the cafe, Andrew sent a message to his mother to find out if she would agree to look after their son today or tomorrow. He explained to Colin that he had urgent matters to attend to and would not be able to spend time with Romeo. However, his mother did not reply to her son's message, for at that moment she was no longer among the living. Colin Rebela was found dead in her own home. Her passing was sudden and unexpected. The news of their mother's death stunned Colin's sons and daughter, but it never even occurred to anyone that the cause might have been something unnatural. Doctors were aware of the woman's heart problems, so they assumed that death could have been caused by arrhythmia or even a brain aneurysm. In addition, Colin had Hashimoto's disease, autoimmune thyroiditis. The police officers who inspected Colin's house found nothing suspicious. All items were in their places, nothing was missing, all windows and doors were securely locked, and there were no signs of intrusion by outsiders. As for the autopsy results, the exact cause of Colin Rebela's death could not be established, and no injuries were found on her body. All of Colin's sons and daughter dismissed the possibility that their mother could have harmed herself. The woman had only recently earned a master's degree and started a new job, was happy, and showed no signs of depression. The family was convinced that Colin had died due to health problems. After his mother's death, the eldest son, Julian, decided to stay in his hometown of Perth for a few months. It was he who began to notice that something was wrong with his brother Andrew. He started behaving strangely. While going through his mother's documents, Julian discovered that her driver's license was missing. He asked his siblings about it, and Andrew admitted that he had taken his mother's license. Later, Andrew took the initiative to settle Colin's financial affairs, which was completely out of character for him. And soon, Julian learned that his mother had several life insurance policies. None of the other relatives had any idea that 2 weeks before Colin's death, Andrew had taken out not 1 or 2, but 3 life insurance policies on her. It might seem that there was nothing wrong with this, but the strange fact was that the policies were not issued for Andrew, his girlfriend, child, brothers, or sister, but solely for his mother. The total value of these life insurance policies exceeded $1 million. After Colin's death, Andrew made sure that all her mail was redirected to his address, even though Monica and Fabian continued to live in their mother's house. Andrew was also the first person the coroner contacted by phone. It seemed that the man was always one step ahead of events and had everything under control. Soon, Colin's former psychologist called Monica and inquired why forged documents had been submitted to the insurance company on her behalf. Monica was certain she had not sent any papers. When the insurance companies began to carefully examine the documents, they noticed errors and discrepancies, which immediately led them to suspect fraud. One of the insurers contacted the Western Australia Police, and officers launched an investigation. 5 months after Colin Rebela's death, all her children were summoned for questioning. Meanwhile, the police obtained a search warrant for Colin's house, as well as the residence where Andrew and Gracie lived. That same evening, Andrew was arrested on suspicion of fraud. Investigators found out that after his mother's death, the man had forged medical certificates, a will, and even the coroner's report. Andrew had made himself the sole heir to all of Colin's property, and his siblings would not receive anything. Upon learning this, Julian, Monica, and Fabian realized that Andrew had effectively written them out of his life. Then all 3 wondered, could Andrew have killed their mother? Despite these horrific accusations, Andrew was released on bail. During this time, detectives were gathering evidence, and the man hoped they would not be able to prove his guilt. Fortunately, Gracie was not involved in the fraud and had no connection to the case. Detectives installed a listening device and a hidden camera in the couple's house. From October to December 2020, investigators eavesdropped on conversations between Andrew and Gracie. The man repeatedly admitted to forging documents, while Gracie knew nothing about it. The girl was outraged. "What have you done? Because of you, we're in deep shit. Why did you do this? It's so idiotic of you." Gracie made no secret of her concern about the prospect of becoming a single mother. She asked Andrew, "And what are your plans now? Are you going to run away?" To which he replied, "I didn't expect things to turn out this way. But I'm not going to prison. I'll get my money and leave the country." While the investigation was ongoing, Andrew continued to live his usual life at liberty. He resided in a luxurious house with Gracie and their son. The family still filmed videos and posted happy photos. But 2 years later, the fairy tale ended. In November 2022, after a thorough investigation by detectives, Andrew Rebela was officially arrested and charged with the murder of his own mother. Andrew and Gracie led a glamorous lifestyle, which they showcased on social media. Their sources of income were advertising contracts, sponsorships, and credit cards. Gracie earned money independently, while Andrew deceived her about his cryptocurrency business. He claimed to be making big money, but for now, these funds were frozen or would become available in the future. In reality, Andrew had nothing but huge credit card debts. Being in a relationship with a popular model, Andrew felt the need to prove his financial capability to her, so he continued to lie about his income and maintain a luxurious lifestyle. That's why he took out several life insurance policies on his mother, making himself the sole beneficiary, and then cold-bloodedly killed Colin. If he had managed to carry out this horrible plan, he could have passed off some of the money as cryptocurrency profits and confirmed his status as a successful businessman. Unfortunately, a considerable amount of time passed between Colin's death and the start of the police investigation into the murder case. The officers were unable to find any footage from surveillance cameras in the area. Instead, they discovered very detailed information about Andrew's contact with several insurance companies after his mother's death. Every time the insurers denied him a payout, he found a way to circumvent it, usually with the help of forged documents, effectively incriminating himself at every step. Among Andrew's forgeries were a will, medical certificates, the coroner's report, and even a fake voice message from Colin's psychologist, created using artificial intelligence. In court, Andrew claimed that his mother was very worried about approaching her 60th birthday and therefore wanted to take out insurance to provide for her children and grandchildren financially. One of the detectives informed the court that while examining Andrew's laptop, he discovered the deletion of all his internet activity from December 2019 to July 2020. However, Google search queries remained, including queries about the causes of aneurysms, documents, and investigations. Analysis of digital data also showed that Andrew's phone connected to cellular towers near his mother's house at the time she likely died, indicating his presence somewhere nearby at the moment of her death. Moreover, witnesses were found who saw a white SUV parked near Colin's house around 1 p.m. on May 25. That day, Colin had dropped off her younger son at work at 10 a.m. and immediately returned home. At 2 p.m., she still had not left the house, which means that the woman died between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. There is ample evidence and indications that during this time, Andrew was with his mother. Gracie's testimony, the fact that Andrew's phone repeatedly connected to the nearest cell towers, and the sighting of his SUV near Colin's house aroused particular suspicion in light of the fact that the woman died just a few weeks after Andrew took out 3 life insurance policies on her. The prosecution argued that Andrew did everything possible to make Colin's death appear as natural as possible. Although he acted cautiously, he still made a few mistakes. In the photographs taken by the police immediately after discovering Colin's body, it can be seen that she was lying by the shower fully clothed, with makeup on her face, jewelry around her neck, and a gold watch on her wrist. Colin's hair was not loose, and the mat she usually placed in the bathtub was lying on the floor. It all looked unnatural and not at all like the woman was about to take a shower in that state. According to her daughter, her mother always took off her jewelry and watch in her room, pinned up her hair, and only then went to the bathroom and turned on the shower. During the court hearing, Andrew denied his involvement in his mother's murder but admitted that he had taken out 3 insurance policies in Colin Rebela's name and then forged documents to receive the payouts. Andrew's lawyers put forward various versions of the cause of death, such as cardiac arrhythmia or a brain aneurysm, but the coroner's inability to establish the exact cause complicated the case, and it began to rely on circumstantial evidence. In December 2024, the jury unanimously delivered a verdict, officially finding Andrew Rebela guilty of murdering his mother. His father, Anthony, who was present in court, was clearly saddened by this news and reacted more emotionally than Andrew himself, who showed almost no feelings. The measure of punishment for Andrew will only be known in April 2025, but since he did not admit his guilt, he faces life imprisonment without the right to early release. It is known that after Andrew's arrest, the media portrayed Gracie very negatively, and it was not easy for her to go through this period, as she too had become a victim of deception. Despite everything, Gracie remains popular, maintains social media pages, and has found a new partner with whom they are raising Romeo together. Thank you for watching this story. Write your thoughts about it in the comments. Don't miss the future videos, subscribe and like the channel. Take care of yourself and people you love.